So that wouldn't do me any good. But I have other kind of fruit. The fruit of the Spirit. There is a devourer who comes along and tries to destroy my fruit. His name is Satan. What does God say? If I give to him, then he's going to take care of the devourer. And he's going to bless me so that my fruit comes forth abundantly. So that Satan can't come and destroy it and take it away from me. And so that I can reap the things of God. But it all comes back to the one thing. It's about giving your heart to God. And you want to know something? It's an easy thing for me to stay here and say, I have given my heart to God. And go home and go through the rest of the week and hardly give God another thought. Get so caught up in my work, get so caught up in my family, get so caught up in this or that or something else that I hardly give God a thought. That I've done what they've done. I have robbed God. I have given him an unacceptable sacrifice. That's exactly what we have fallen into. The church in general has fallen into that. I come in, I check off the box, and I go and do my own thing. I'll come back next week and check the box again, and then I'll go and do my own thing. That's what we've fallen into. What we need to understand, that it needs to be all about God. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants Preacher, it can't be all about God. I've got a job to do. I have to go to work. I have to take care of my family. I have to do this. I have to do that. You know what the Bible says? Whatever you do it as unto the Lord. You can do it all in a godly manner. You can do it all with God on your heart and God in your mind. You can do it. And I want to tell you what, it's a lot more enjoyable if you do it all with God in your heart and God on your mind. But we get sidetracked. We get focused on other things. Other things matter more. Other things become more important. And this is where we end up. And there was a lot more I was going to say, but God is leading me to go wrap this up. Chapter 3, verse 15. And now we call the proud happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, that tempt God are even delivered. That sounds like today. That sounds like a lot of the so-called church today. The proud are happy. They that work wickedly are set up. They got it made. All of those things. But listen to what he says in verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance is written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day, when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. And then shall ye return, and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. What's he saying here? There are those that are set up. The proud are happy. There's ones that think they got it made, and they got it all sewed up, and everything's good. But they that fear the Lord will be his. Now, what does it mean to fear the Lord? There's a whole lot in that. We better have a fear of the consequences of not serving God. There better be a fear about an eternity in hell. But what he's saying here, they that fear also includes respect, admired, lifted up, esteemed. All of that is included in there. He said, they that fear the Lord spoke often one another, and the Lord hearkened. If we fear the Lord, if we esteem him, if we lift him up, if we get back to giving our hearts and our minds and ourselves to him, he said that there's a book of remembrance, and they will be written in there. And when he makes up his jewels, they will be there. What does that mean? You will become a jewel to God. You will become something precious to God. And God will have you written down in His book of remembrance, and He will not forget you. If we turn back to God and give ourselves fully to God, then we become one of His jewels. And then He says, I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. We don't have to live under that curse. We don't have to be cursed like the ones that were mentioned in here. But it all comes back to returning to that way of serving God. The church in general needs to return back to serving God in a holy manner, in a righteous manner. And I'm going to wrap this up. And again, I want to go back to Christ and what He went through and what He suffered and what He put up with for us. And if He did that for us, what should we do for Him? We just want to get things. We just want to be blessed. We just want to be helped. And God will do these things. He promised to do these things. But He wants something from us too.
That's right.
He wants our respect. He wants our fear. He wants our admiration. He wants our praise. He wants our worship. He wants us to give ourselves fully to Him. Just as Christ gave Himself fully, He wants us to give ourselves fully. You know, when you're born again, the Bible says you become a new creation, a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Baptism represents the burial of the old and the raising of the new, just like the resurrection of Christ, the burial and the resurrection of Christ. Once that happens, once you're born again and you're raised into that new life, that new life should be all about God. Now, I'm not saying go live in a monastery or go live in a cave or something like that, but I'm saying everything in your life can include God.
That's right.
Your job, your family, your kids, your hobbies, everything can include God. And that's how it's supposed to be. And you know, if we're coming before God half-heartedly, if we're coming before God with a cold heart, if we're coming before God with our minds everywhere else, that's not acceptable. That's like giving the lame, the sick, and the blind. That's what it is. I just want to leave you with that question that I already asked you. If Christ gave His all, what should we give? You think about it. And think about what I tried to get across. And as I always ask you, you pray about it, meditate on it, think about it. Let the Holy Spirit open it up to you in a way that you get it. And give God what God is worthy of. Give God what God deserves. I'll stop there. Let's pray.